and IEBC is doing the official tally, and they're the ones who will make that official announcement. But I have a guest in studio with me. Dr. Nancy Omolo is here, gender and political affairs expert. Thank you so much for making time. Eric Deuri is also here, LSK president. Asante sana for making time as well. Dr. Nancy, I'll start with you on this. What is your assessment of how IEBC has performed this far, 5 days after the elections?
Oh, thank you so much, Trevor, for inviting me into the studio. I think Kenyans voted on Tuesday 9th, and today we are on the 14th of Sunday, and Kenyans have been waiting to get the results. As we know, IEBC has got the mandate to announce the results within 7 days. So I think the day of the voting, things were a bit peaceful, but people are getting a bit anxious. They're becoming impatient on why we are not getting election results. Some thought that we're going to get it on Friday, on Saturday, and today we are on Sunday. So we are still looking forward. Is the announcement going to be made on Monday? Is it going to be made on Tuesday? And we are waiting. Kenyans are waiting.
But during the process, what did you see yourself when you're out there? Were you satisfied with the way it happened in terms of, or can they be more efficient?
I think there were some issues because on the election days we had, just a day before the election, we were told that Mombasa and Kakamega, we could not, people could not vote the governors for these two counties. At the same time, we saw some counties whereby, for example, one of the presidential aspirants, Professor Wajakoya, could not find his name and was not able to vote. He was there before 10 a.m. and he was voting in the afternoon. And we also saw some centers. There was a center in Homa Bay County, somewhere around Kanyidoto area, whereby people were not able to vote because the electronic systems were not working. So they could not vote till around 1 a.m. So those were kind of some issues that we experienced. But generally, I think it was really peaceful beyond, the system was not working in some places. It was very peaceful. People voted. People went out. We saw the turnout was good. We saw, much senior citizen in their 70s, 60s coming out to vote. We saw both women and men coming to vote. Although the turnout for the youth was really very low, and it was really worrying. And also generally, we had a low voter turnout in this election as compared to 2017. Yeah,
we'll talk about the voter turnout in a bit, but let me hear what Deuri thinks. What is your assessment of how IEBC has performed this far?
Thank you, Trevor, for inviting me. I think IEBC has largely acquitted itself. As the Law Society, we had about 600 observers out in the field and who are basically lawyers. And across the country, going to the polling stations and following up on the happenings. And the preliminary feedback that we have received from most of them is that, other than the few incidences of when either the KIMS kits were not working and certain questions with regards to assistance of voters to vote, people with disability, I think by and large the process was extremely smooth. The transmission of the results using the KIMS kits was also extremely smooth. The fact that most of the political parties had agents at the polling stations, and they were allowed to take a copy of the Form 34A or to take photos of it, and subsequently thereafter the copies were also pasted on the doors or at the venue where the voting was taking place at the polling station, demonstrates that there was, to a large extent, compliance with the law. Of course, there have been a few challenges which we have noted, but there's always a room for improvement. And I think that ultimately, once the process of verification and tallying is done, and this is also a constitutional requirement actually, once that is done, we still are within the timelines, the constitutional timelines, because they have 7 days to release. So I am hopeful that we would be able to have the results once they have gone through the processes that they are going through.
Yeah.
And then thereafter, then we can be able to give a more comprehensive assessment of the entire process.
In fact, that's what I wanted to get into, because there was a ruling in 2017. So far, from the legal standpoint, has IEBC complied with what the Supreme Court ordered, from your general assessment right now?
Yes, and you see, that is why we are saying that at the end of the process, then you are able to comprehensively make a comment on that, because you are then able to get the documentation, of course, the primary source being the 34A. But for us, in terms of the feedback that we have received and our own assessment of it, is that the Form 34As were transmitted to IEBC, and they've been available to the public and also, I think, to the media.
Yeah.
So to a great extent, in terms of compliance with the law, that has been done.
Yeah.
But in the process of verification, one of the other things we'll be looking at is that, and this is something that we also noted, that there's a high element of fatigue among the IEBC officials. And that in itself can lead to mistakes, because there is a lot of transposition of results from, for example, 34A to 34B.
Yeah.
And at that time, you are not just compiling one polling station, you are compiling so many polling stations. So there might be some sort of errors, and we would want to then see how the IEBC would treat those kind of errors and the kind of reports it would give, because the primary result, which is recognized constitutionally and as per the Maina Kiai decision, is actually the result at the polling station.
Yeah.
So we would be of course, waiting for IEBC to finalize, so that we can be able then to make an assessment of whether there has been any variations noted in the Form 34A and B and C, and subsequently the results that is declared, and how if there were variations, how they were dealt with.
Okay.
Yes.
Dr. Molo, do you, from a political perspective, do you think this is our turning point elections, when there was a ruling that the elections need to be free, fair, credible, and verifiable? Are we in the right path? Having posted all the 34As, all the 34Bs are there, anyone can download and collate. Is this the turning point of our electioneering seasons?
Yes, I think by watching how we've done this election process, how IEBC had handled this election process in the year 2022, I think it's a great departure from the year 2017, in that now they've posted all the Form 34As on their website, and this is public. But it's still challenging, because the Form 34A, these are 46 forms, and you can only download one at a time. Yeah. And we saw this when the media was doing the tallying, and there were all at different pace. You had Citizen having a different tally, you had the NTV having a different tally, you had the KTN doing a different tally. So as much as this data is outside there, one of the things I think that maybe even the tallying center for the different political parties, they didn't anticipate that this is going to be a lot of work to do. But I think it's already a departure, that we are making this information public, and we're not going to have an issue whereby we are saying that let's open our servers.
Okay. But there is this opening up a Pandora's box, so to speak, because that in itself has been a source of such fake news that nobody can verify who is what. And the excuse is everyone is tallying on their own. But there are 46,229 forms. Of course, you don't expect some level of uniformity. But then what more could IEBC do to level this playing field and ensure that whatever data that comes from them is credible?
I mean, we live in the time of social media dictating the news. And the phenomena of fake news is something that the whole world is grappling with. And there's really nothing much we can do other than to urge, especially members of the public, to treat news or information that is displayed with the social media with a little bit of caution until that information is verified before you can believe the authenticity of such statements. But that said and done, the chances that even though that information is readily available, that someone will take his or her time to go into the portal and download all those results and then create their own tally is quite a tall order, and you might not expect people to actually do that. And that is actually the main reason why fake news thrives, because people have this ability not to actually go back and check with the source. So that is where the problem is. But I think, in fact, one of the recommendations which we've actually made to the IEBC is that in future, they also need to invest in technology, in social media monitoring tools, so that they are able to correct any information as soon as it is relayed, because the speed of correcting the misleading information is the only thing that can actually infuse more credibility into the system. So as we actually learn that that is something that is a problem, is something that we're going to deal with. The other issue is, and this is where also we really must commend IEBC, is that unlike the previous election where they were sending a text with the numbers, which created a lot of problems, is that it is the actual form 34A that is being displayed in the public portal. So then that gives everyone, or rather a diligent person, the opportunity to be able to log into the portal, pick the form that is there, and then we are making the assumption that you have access to the other. If it is a political party, for example, it has agents who have a duplicate of the results, so they are able to compare at that particular point. But remember also, at the tallying center, the National Tallying Center, they are also going through a similar process where they have to wait for the returning officer to bring his Form 34B, and if there are any variations, then to go back to the primary document. So it's really a process that has been infused with.
Hold that thought for a bit. I think we can cross over now to